Welcome back to the Serial Cast.
Kellogg's, thanks for the sponsor.
Yep.
Whoever does that.
We're gonna take a quick break to talk about My Hero Academia. Here in episode 50, the Big 5-0.
Wow.
The students return home and deal with their families. All Might and Eraserhead go to the students' parents and ask their permission for the students to live in the new UA dorms. There's not a whole lot of plot this episode.
Yeah, I mean, so this episode's kind of the big wrap-up, although I feel like, gosh, there's not a lot of wrapping up in terms of, I mean, we get a couple of scenes. Oh, yeah, it turns out Camino Ward was destroyed. Oh, now everybody's all, like, mad at the heroes. Oh, we've lost our symbol of peace. But I think we got, like, a text message about Best Jeanist. Like, yep, he's okay. He won't be a hero for a while.
Yeah, I think it's during the like little commercial interstitial where people's like faces and profiles pop up where they're like, by the way, this happened to Best Jeanist and other pussycat girl. Bye.
Yeah, that feels like there was room for a scene about that. Like a scene in the hospital, like cut out a couple of these like
kind of at least Best Jeanist, because I feel like we've seen him a lot. Like he like of the pro heroes outside of our circuit of All Might and Endeavor and like people that have like a vested interest in specific people. Best Jeanist, I feel like, is the guy we may have seen the most, other than maybe like Mount Lady.
Yeah. That him and Kamui.
Yeah.
I love the Kamui dude.
Yeah.
Kamui Woods.
Yeah, Kamui Woods. But yeah, we don't get too much about them. I guess we get enough to just know that they're okay. What they're more focused on is the fact that, yep, they're going to move everyone into dorms. It's going to be dorm rooms, college style.
Finally, I get to understand, I think, the last reference in that Jellopocalypse video that introduced me to My Hero.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was called out.
Yeah. Man, I won't talk about the next episode yet, but the next episode is like a fan favorite. So, but yeah, in this episode does have a couple of very important things. One of them being we get to meet Bakugo's mommy and his dad, but he's whatever.
Surprising no one, she's sort of just abusive. But she's hot, so it's okay.
She's definitely a little bit abusive, but in that kind of Japanese acceptable way. Like, oh, she hits him on the head, but apparently maybe... And she's kind of pushy, but I don't know. I get really uncomfortable with that sort of thing.
Dad just seems scared.
Yeah,
Yep.
I look from the outside and I'm like, apparently a lot of maybe rougher Japanese families are like this, but socially people just kind of stand on the outside and go, well, we're not going to get involved. And I'm just kind of like...
I feel like All Might more or less says that, where he's like, what's with the darkness in this family?
yeah, but as you'll see, they still kind of sit on the outside and it's like, don't know how I feel about this. Because afterwards, she's like, she speaks very highly of her son. She's, very grateful to them. They trust them to take care of her son, who she outwardly says, good things about after constantly hitting him. And it's like, I'm getting
backhanded compliments. Like, yeah, he was born with this awesome quirk. Too bad he's kind of a fuck up.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where I feel like it's something that people will use to perhaps justify abusive relationships, specifically parental, in that it is she hits him, berates him, and then like basically gives the "but I love him" kind of like end of the sentence. And it's like, I don't know if that I think people's problems with Bakugo might stem from perhaps a strange environment in the home.
I'm gonna throw it out there. Maybe lack of a strong male parental figure, considering his dad seems to be kind of a pushover.
The way
sorry, go ahead.
The way I view it is that Bakugo from birth, basically every day at home, gets to see that in every regard there is a clear winner and a clear loser, and that is how he has shaped his worldview. And that is why he acts the way he does, and why it drives him insane, literally, seeing him start to become the loser when he is used to being the winner.
I can't be my dad. I can't be my dad,
Yes.
y'all. I will not become my dad.
Weirdly enough, it's his daddy issues that are actually spurning his hatred for Deku, I think.
And probably also leading him to see All Might as a surrogate father figure.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
See, there's plenty of stuff you can read into this.
Also, it's kind of interesting because it's Masaru and Mitsuki. That's the father and the mother's name, respectively. And I thought about it for a second. I'm like, wait, that means his last name was Bakugo. If you don't know this, Bakugo is basically explosion. It's a pun on explosions.
Yeah.
On bombs. Baku. I'm kind of wondering if he took her name because it's like this guy is a wet fart of a human being. Meanwhile, you have Mitsuki over there who's just a total firecracker, and it's like,
No,
okay.
you see, when he was in his 20s, it was always a great icebreaker because he's like, yeah, I have that name because it's ironic.
Oh, what if he's got the one with the explosive powers?
Well, interestingly enough, he learned how to make explosions from the mailman. The mailman.
Wow. Oh.
There is clearly none of this gentleman's genetic material
Yeah.
involved in the creation of this small
Also
boy.
worth noting, this is the first episode, I think, of this season's run that the dub wasn't out day and date with the sub.
Oh yeah,
So-
we had to watch this one subbed, which made me really sad because I was super duper looking forward to the scene with All Might and Deku's mom.
Yeah.
Also, I want to know what Mitsuki sounds like.
We also get to see Earphone Jack girl,
Yeah.
her parents, which I think is great, just because the dad is like Mr. Stern, like, I don't know, this seems like haven't you guys been putting these kids through enough? You haven't really been holding up your end of the bargain. And she just kind of pops her head in, Dad, shut up, you already agreed. Like, you don't have to act like this.
I love
She's
that.
wearing her sick Deep Dope shirt, which I want.
Yeah, deep dope pointing down, and
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, you know
I feel
what?
like there's an innuendo there somewhere.
I feel like that is the manga cut. Just like, yeah, no, this shirt's cool.
this seems like a punk rock thing to say on your shirt.
Deep dope.
And then I think after that is when we go to, because we have Earphone Jack, then I think Bakugo, and then Deku. I
Yeah,
think is
we
next
had
on
a
the
scene
list.
with Icy Hot, and
Oh, yeah.
Endeavor's freaking out because he's the de facto #1 hero, but he's all not like this.
Yeah, this isn't how
Not
it was
like
supposed
this.
to go.
Yeah, his hate boner for All Might just got deflated in the worst way, and it is sad to watch.
Spend my whole life trying to beat All Might, and then All Might retires on top. What the fuck am I supposed to do about that?
It's also interesting because Endeavor is a terrible human being.
Yeah.
But to see him suffering over something like this is very interesting. It's because you kind of feel for him. You know he's a shitty guy, but it's like, this was your life. This is the thing you worked on, and now it's crumbling in front of you. And that's one of the things I like about My Hero is that it gives you these characters that are obviously flawed and kind of terrible, but you get it. You get their interests, their wants, their needs, and the horrible things they have done don't suddenly supersede their personality and the impact they have on the world. So
Makes-
Almost like flawed characters are interesting.
yeah, right. And that their flaws shouldn't automatically cut them off from being sympathetic.
Yeah. Weird how that works.
We also had just a quick little scene where Bakugo straight up asks All Might, like, so you gonna tell me what's going on with
Oh,
you
yeah.
and Deku? No? All right.
Oh, yeah.
Which I really like because I feel like old Bakugo would have like screamed and been like I know there's something you're hiding from me. But like I feel like you can see he is starting to realize like yelling about shit doesn't get me anywhere.
Yep.
Like, all right, I get it. You won't tell me, but I'll figure it out. Just walks away.
And he actually says thank you when he walks away, which was like, wow, okay. Yeah, lots going through Katsuki Bakugo's mind right now, and that's really interesting to watch because he's been through a lot. The kid's been through a lot.
Yeah. But yeah, then we get the big scene with All Might and Deku's mom at the end, which
Yup.
I don't know. This was a weird scene.
I love this scene. I love this scene to death. This is one of my favorite scenes in the manga, actually.
I feel like Deku's mom, like her switch flips. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I get that it's like a big moment to have All Might, the hero of the world, like basically kneeling in your kitchen, being like, "Please, I need your son to be my successor. Like this is a big deal. This is why I need him to come with me." Like honestly, I feel like the biggest moment of that scene for me was when Midoriya comes out with the note from the kid
Yeah.
and going, he's like, "I'm already a hero. I can go anywhere. Like
Yeah.
I'd love to be at UA, and UA means a lot to me, and I've met a lot of friends and all that stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, I've made it. So I was like, that's a big growth thing.
Yeah.
Which then basically pushes All Might to be like, and this is why I need him because he
Yeah.
acts like this.
Yeah. I will say this. It is its own chapter in the manga. Like the part where she says, I'm saying no to this is they cut off, and then the rest of that scene is a whole chapter. So it does kind of feel like it's a big scene, and it's kind of I don't want to say it's rushed here, but it's supposed to be this big moment of like, yeah, I'm not going to let my son go back to your school where he continues to break his arms, get his life put in danger, his classmates get kidnapped. Like, why would I send him back? I can't do it. Even if he wants to make that decision himself, I can't handle it.
Yeah, I as a parent can't take this.
Yeah, and it's one of those tough things where, from a character point of view, like, yeah, of course, she is perfectly reasonable at all times. But from a storytelling point of view, from an audience point of view, there's no tension because at no point do I think, oh no, he might not be able to go back.
Yeah.
Of course he is. That's the story that we're telling. So it's kind of like, all right,
Well,
give lip service to this thing.
I think what's a fair possible bad end for this scene is him going without his mom's like blessing, like her being upset that he is leaving, and him just being like, "Look, this is what I have to do. I'm sorry if it makes you mad, Mom. Like, but I got to do this. This is where my life is taking me."
Yeah, and the scene is not supposed to be, will he actually go back to UA? It's supposed to show Deku's character growth and where he is, as a hero and as a person. 2, to give you an insight into her and her feelings on this, which are important, and 3, to kind of like that great scene where All Might gets down on gets down to that. Oh, there's a name for that position, and I forget what it is. And beefs up for a moment. Like this is incredibly hard for me to do, but he's trying to tell her the severity of the situation, and it's just really moving. So even if it's not a question of will he or won't he go back, just the way the scene plays out is so good to me.
I do think it's important because we haven't gotten to see a lot of Midoriya's mom being very like, my son is literally tearing himself apart every time he does something. Like every fight he has been in, every scrap he has gotten involved in, he has received more injuries from using his own power than he has from the actual fighting. Which, honestly, I was hoping, and maybe this is just implied in the way he said it, but I was hoping the resolution of this scene would be All Might telling Deku's mom about One for All, and being like, here's how his power works, here's why it's breaking him, he has to go through this phase in order to become like me. Like, this is just part of the process, and like it's something that's going to happen, and if I am there to teach him how to do it, it will go more smoothly. Like, that, I figured that would be like the inroad, and the status change here would be now another person knows about the power.
And see, that I would have found interesting too, because then that brings when Deku says, hey, it's my fault, the teachers tell me and I don't listen, and she quite rightly says, well, yeah, but it's
their job.
They're doing a bad job of impressing this on you then.
Which, that's it. What a smartly written scene where she just flips it right back around. And that is a failure of the teachers. And it is so good to see, not only does this series show that, hey, so kids are responsible for themselves, but it's the teacher's responsibility if you don't, there are lost causes. Deku's not a lost cause. Deku is somebody who needs to be worked with because he's way too into being the hero. He keeps putting himself in bad situations, and they turn out good, but he's too rash. Yeah. And so,
but going back, how much more of a betrayal would it have been to realize, wait, you're the one who gave him this dangerous power without telling me?
Yeah.
That's not okay. That would have been an interesting character conflict.
Yeah.
I would very much like to get a scene like that. That wasn't this scene, unfortunately.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know if that's something that's coming, or like I said, if that was the implication with the way he phrased it, if that's supposed to pass on the idea that no, I gave him his power. The only reason he has power is because of me. But yeah, it's one of those things where it's I don't think it's a bad scene. It just felt oddly paced, and I do love what we get to see. I really like you've seen screen caps of it all over the internet, but the flashback with him and his mom playing pretend is the most adorable thing.
Oh,
and it's
God, yeah.
And it's such a heart-wrenching, her being I get that this is what he wants to do, but I don't have the nerves of steel it takes to send my son to a place where he keeps getting battered and broken every day. I get it. That's a tough thing to put on a parent, especially when you have a kid who, it turns out, as far as you know, his birth power is this thing that ruins his body every time he uses it. It's a rough place to be, so I get that it's a discussion that needed to happen. It just felt it felt like either she was won over too quickly or there was just not enough to it. Like I don't know what it was, but something about it felt off. And perhaps in the manga was, it felt more natural or paced better. But something about the scene in the anime just stuck out to me as like it just kind of ends, and I'm like, oh, well, all right.
I will say, and this has been my problem with the My Hero Academia anime, because while it has been an exceptionally good adaptation of the manga, and there's just no argument that it has succeeded where a lot of other adaptations frankly fail, one of its problems is kind of communicating like the severity of some scenes. Because in the manga, I watched this, and this like floored me, because the way that it's presented, like they take their time in this scene of this of this woman who's broken. And here, it just kind of plays without a lot of that tension.
It's like stuff doesn't have time to breathe.
Yeah,
and
there's no breath. There's not a moment to take in the severity of her feelings and the severity of both Deku and All Might's. It just plays out. And for somebody who's never read the manga, I guess, maybe I was right that, this scene kind of doesn't hit as hard in the anime. But, I don't know. I'm going into it from a skewed perspective of, I absolutely love this scene in the manga. And in the anime, I'm like, this is the scene, right? Right?
Yeah. And it might just be like just time between lines or something, or time like, the manga might portray a sense of time that is different than how the anime does, in that like just like an awkward like, no, he's not going, done. And just like an idea of like them being like absorbing that for a second instead of just immediately back into, yes, he is, please.
Oh yeah. You end that week on, I'm not okay with him going back. Yeah, that's pretty rough. It's pretty tough. It's like, oh shit. Like out of all the people who have, and the reason it's supposed to be such a big scene is that she's been a pushover. She's this very sweet, demure woman, and for her to stand up to All Might and go like, fuck you. Bakugo's mom was like, oh yeah, no, don't worry about it. He's fine. Just send him back on in there. No, Deku's mom like, fuck that. Are you kidding me? This is nuts.
Yeah, she's like, I really appreciate everything you've done for us. You're the symbol of peace. You're a huge thing, but no, you're asking too much.
As a citizen, thank you. That was really well done.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Next episode is going to be like amazing though. So.
Well, even without you here to tell me that, I would still believe it, because I have my problems with this episode. It's very much a breather episode after everything we just went through, but I'm still 100% invested in this show.
I'm so happy that we're gonna get like all this stuff, because I legitimately thought that this was gonna be like one of the last episodes of this season. And then, like, the beginning of the next season was going to start with this next episode. The fact that I know what's coming up next has got me so excited. And while I wish this episode had done the manga a little more justice, it's still My Hero Academia. It's still kicking on most cylinders.
I had a long discussion before this.
Yep.
Just thinking about, like, man, would I kill on this episode? Because I honestly, like, this was the first episode where it kind of ended. And there wasn't like me going like, oh man, I cannot wait for next week. Like it just kind of ended, and I was like, oh okay, like all right, that's fine. I guess this was an episode, and it's like while I had the the tearjerker emotional moments of like he's my son, you can't keep hurting my son. Like that's beautiful and that's real good, and like the Midoriya being like, I'm already a hero, I made it. Like that's good shit. I like that stuff.
Yeah.
But it just didn't feel like it was enough to carry this whole episode. But this show has been great. I get that we need a little bit of an unwind after the marathon of summer camp immediately into, oh no, and All for One's here. So
I don't think it can be stressed how good the scene with the note is. Like that particular part. That is really good, and I think that worked both in the anime and manga.
Also, we didn't really talk about it, but there was a scene with the with I think All Might talking to the cops and them basically being like, hey, so now we know who Shigaraki is. He's the grandson of your former mentor, and he's like, and the reason why this is weird is she put him up into foster care because she wanted him to, or her son, to have nothing to do with any sort of superhero business. So the fact that her grandson is now, leading the League of Villains, and then we get the post-credit scene, which is actually one of my favorite scenes I think of the episode, where All for One is in prison, just musing. Yeah. And like it's this really good Like, no, you not dying was a big mistake, All Might, because me getting locked away is going to force my student to become independent and learn how to be a leader. You're still there coddling your kid. So in this big race, I'm still in the lead.
Yeah, I love seeing those two juxtaposed
Yeah.
as mentors and their different approach to bringing up their proteges.
Yeah, because he's like, because now Shigaraki is ready, and like you just see him with a group around him. Like that's a real cool imagery for what we're hearing here.
Yeah. Shigaraki is, then that's been Shigaraki's whole thing, is that he's incredibly dangerous because of his potential, but also his rashness. He'll take risks, he'll go crazy on some shit, and that's what's scary about him. So, yeah, well, we'll see more of that later, I'm sure.
I'm sure we will, and we'll see more of you later next time on Anime FMK, My Hero in Academy Land.
Yes.
Yes.